Exploragonians. Wow, you went really low there. That's nice.
Exploragonians. Yeah, go.
Exploragonians.
Oh, I guess I could have like kept the beat
No,
going.
there's absolutely no. You're dancing.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi.
Oh, hey everybody! Welcome to Exploragonians, a travel stories podcast. I'm your host, Jordan.
I'm your host, Katie.
Katie. Well, after like a week and a half, we finally tested not positive for COVID.
Yeah, but I feel like we're still not great.
We're reeling. But one positive thing that came out of this was the realization that 1998 was maybe the most banner year for film.
We've been watching a lot of great films from 1998.
And by a lot of great, I think we got 3 bangers in a row.
Okay, so we watched Lindsay Lohan's Parent Trap.
Also, Lindsay Lohan's Parent Trap. Lindsay Lohan and Lindsay Lohan in the Parent Trap.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then we watched the classic Rush Hour.
Which I would say is probably one of your favorite movies.
I would agree.
Wow. Why is that?
Because when I saw it, it made me feel like so grown. Being able to, like, my parents took me to my first PG-13 movie.
You weren't even 13 at the time. So you
No.
did need that parental guidance.
I did.
You needed the PG.
Because, and this is, like, very odd, because, like, my mom doesn't even watch movies. Like, she is anti, but my parents had gone on to a date and watched Rush Hour and then thought I would enjoy it.
Oh, so they went twice?
Yes.
Wow.
They were totally committed. And I think our family has, like, that Jackie Chan love, or did in that moment. And I had it until I read too much on Wikipedia. And
You can still love the art.
I love the art, but I'm a little disappointed with his parental choices. But that's a different conversation.
It almost sounded like his decision, like his choices, like in his parents, his parental.
Fine. We're going to move on.
all good.
But Chris Tucker, classic.
And then we ended it with Mulan.
Oh, so classic.
Another
Also,
classic.
Let me say classic one more time.
So good.
Mulan is, I think, a special movie for you and I. I think it's a special movie, just period. Like, I think I watched it a lot growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And by I think, I know. Okay, besides The Parent Trap, I think that's the least quotable for my own skills. But like Rush Hour and Mulan, like, I think I could just recite the whole time.
That and like Emperor's New Groove, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very good.
How many times did you watch Mulan?
Quite often. I loved Mulan. I even got a Wonder Ball chocolate ball once because I thought there would be a Mushu toy or something in there.
I don't even know what you're saying.
And
What?
I think it did. Yeah, wonder, what's in a Wonder Ball?
Oh, I saw those commercials on Cartoon Network.
They were always unsatisfying. It's a weird
Oh.
combo. Like, you have chocolate, but on the inside was like sugary candy. So, I mean, you don't want both. I don't want both. I want one or the other.
What?
But I also take
Eh,
one.
wait, because I only saw the commercial. I don't know. Are
It's-
they like big? Is it like an 8-ball?
Oh, God, no. It's more like a hunky marble.
Oh.
Okay. Hollow
Where do you get them
orb
from?
From the grocery store. It was, have you been to one of those?
No.
Lots of items. So it was a hollow ball, and on the inside was like a bunch of terrible candies. And you'd open it up, and I think sometimes there'd be like a sticker or a tattoo. But I would take
Chocolate, shitty candy, and a sticker.
Yeah. Nestle.
But they
Also-
were like individually wrapped, or like the sticker was rubbing up on the...
Thumbs down, Nestle. What?
Man, there's some hard truths in this pod.
The candies were loose inside the chocolate ball. The chocolate ball was in like a foil. And then I kind of think the sticker was on the outside, lingering against the foil.
What?
But I would separate the two halves, and then I would like hold the orb against my mouth and at lips until it gave me like a goatee looking thing.
I think you were all about having rings.
Rings?
Rings around your lips.
Is that a tuba reference?
I mean, that could be. That's one. There was something else you told me. And you had a, you had a ring around your lip.
What? It sounds like I got like tapeworm or something.
I don't know. I think you were like just pressing stuff on your face.
No,
That
I
was-
think that's another boyfriend you had.
No.
No, it's you pressing things against your lips. Hey, maybe I saw like what Groucho Marx was doing with like his like facial hair stuff, and I was like, I can do that too.
Maybe it's the COVID talking.
Maybe
It's
the
just-
COVID has.
It just lingers.
Also, it sounds like the COVID talking sounds like it's infected your brain, and now you are just like a walking.
It probably has. It probably hasn't affected my brain.
Well, speaking of infecting your brain, let's go to Japan.
I think that's a great idea. You can drop some Osaka knowledge.
This episode, we are going to the third most populous city in Japan, Osaka.
Is it after Tokyo and Kyoto?
Kyoto's actually pretty small.
Okay.
It was like Yokohama. Anybody who's ever been to Japan or has any Japan knowledge, I'm sorry. Like, this is not going to be.
It's just not going to be.
It's not gonna be.
We don't do that here.
But okay, I was looking at the map and like Osaka, we were there for several days, but it's like on a bay.
I feel like you didn't show me on the map.
That's fine. You were there.
I lived it.
Which I shouldn't be surprised. Japan is an island or a chain of islands. I shouldn't be surprised that it was like close to water, but I was like, oh, we were on a bay? What?
I mean, I do think that. Or it's like it didn't feel like it definitely felt like we were inland.
Right.
You know, we weren't at the shore.
Well,
it didn't feel like we were on an island.
Well, Osaka is quite metropolitan. The population is like 2.7 million in its like metro area. It's apparently the third most populous city, but the second largest metro area, which that's always like a confusing thing. It's like, oh, metro area, city, where are your boundaries?
Yeah.
So, and it's just so interesting to have been in Osaka, a country with like so much heritage and like hundreds of years of history. It's just anytime that we're outside of the US and you're like, oh, well, this building was constructed in 900 AD and UNESCO's decided that we'd keep it.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I feel like we were just walking and we'd just see. Yeah, we just see. Like, I feel like we were walking past like a cemetery or something. And
That was Kyoto.
Well, I'm just saying, just in general in Japan. And it was not shocking, but.
Well, but things are so old that like the gravestones at that point have been worn away to nothing.
Yeah.
It's like a stump, a gravestone stump.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we got to Osaka on accident. We weren't trying to go to Osaka. We were trying to go to Kyoto. And we were trying to go to Kyoto because we thought it'd be really fun to hitchhike from Tokyo to Kyoto. Didn't know that that was going to be more difficult than we anticipated.
Do you think that I don't think we intentionally did it. I feel like we were on a budget and we were like, we're not taking the train. We're going to hitchhike because at this point we are a couple months.
We were like a month. We were halfway through our 3-month trip.
Our trip. And we all know Jordan doesn't like to spend money. So we had to get creative.
And I think I was inspired to get creative in Japan because, you read all these stories about how it's like one of the safest countries in the world and how the general populace is all like very kind, very friendly. And
I just want to interject. We had no plans either to go to Japan. So we planned on backpacking in Southeast Asia. And I feel like we had budgeted for that.
yeah.
And so an AirAsia flight went down. We got really cheap tickets to Japan. And so overnight, like Jordan had food poisoning. And so we're like, oh, like, you want to go to Japan tomorrow?
And I'm
Great.
like writhing in this like Kermit the Frog blanket. I'm like, yes, we can go. Get me out of this hellscape where I just keep getting sick.
So yeah, we did not plan. I didn't know very much about Japan at all. Like, at least you had some knowledge. I didn't even heard of ramen. I don't even know what you're talking about.
What?
No.
Okay, so when you heard of like Top Ramen,
No, it
you
meant
were like,
nothing to me.
what?
Well, I
Okay,
knew
but-
that people had it, put, a little hot water or something.
It's boiling water. It's not just hot. It's as hot as you can get that water here on Earth.
But I mean, yeah, it just wasn't, I wasn't connecting the dots.
I actually didn't know that Top Ramen and ramen were fundamentally like a similar thing. Like it's, yeah, let's talk about limited life experience.
I mean, anyway, so we were not prepared, but we found ourselves in Japan, and then I was
As
like,
one does.
as one does, and not seeing any English signs, and And not that you should expect that when you're traveling,
Right.
but I mean, it proved to be challenging, which I think encouraged us to be creative, and we had to think on our feet.
I mean, even in like in the mountains in Thailand, like when we went to some of those festivals, some of the street signs were in Thai script and English. Japan was like,
No.
welcome. This is a whole new world, a whole new fantastic point of view.
And
It was crazy. So we were in Japan for like about a week before we got to Osaka. And so we had constructed a sign. The sign was made with a box from Costco in Kawasaki?
Kawasaki, because I loved the name. And
What makes me think of motorcycles.
with our help from the police.
Yeah, so we went to a police station, and there was like 10 police officers, and like through all of them, like helped us make a sign. We didn't know what it said. I think they kind of helped us translate it. Maybe it said we want to go to Kyoto in your car, which was kind of forward for some of these people. We won't go into all the nitty-gritty details about how the sign worked, but eventually we ended up in Nagoya, which is more than halfway between Tokyo and Osaka. So we were in a rest stop because lore in Japan is like, if you want to hitchhike, your best option is to go to a rest area. And rest areas aren't like how we view them in the US, like little grungy, like bathrooms off the side of the road.
Right. It was like a whole kind of like a little strip mall, really, that
Yeah.
had like some restaurants and just it was almost like a nice train station or something.
Right. But the only way to access them was via car. And so
Right.
we knew we wanted to get there, but we had to have a car to get there. And so we had to shoot our little line out of our sign. And we're just standing on the side of the road in Nagoya.
I don't even think it was like, are we even standing in the right direction? I mean, we were, okay, because we don't have like phones that work. I mean, like notoriously, I was like, we're not paying for international phone plans. So we had our phones, but we could only connect to like Wi-Fi. So usually we had no power.
That was great. I mean, it took us probably like definitely like an older style of traveling. Like we were just disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually we got a ride from this mother and daughter. The mother was maybe marrying someone from the US and she was going to move to like one of the Carolinas like that month. And so we had like a nice conversation. They gave us like a 15-20 minute ride, but they got us to
the rest stop.
the rest stop. But then when we were there was like a huge army presence. There was like Humvees. In my mind there was a tank, but
Yeah.
a lot of army people.
It was a different vibe. And I think like you and I don't think we ate. I think we just went to the Starbucks.
Yeah. Hey,
Because, coffee priorities.
hey Starbucks, you want to pitch us a buck?
No.
A Starbuck. So we were like, let's get a coffee and let's just have our sign, our little box, our Costco box, and we're just going to set it on the table. And so many people were like side-eyeing it. Like, and again, at this point, you and I are in like matching outfits because we had budgeted for Southeast Asia. We'd also packed for Southeast Asia. So like we were
And we were
rocking-
in Japan the coldest month out of the year. So I mean it was like snowing when we landed and we're like in shorts and flip-flops. It was not.
Ruh-roh.
It was not good, you guys.
Yeah, we ended up getting like matching outfits. Like we went to this secondhand store. I'm wearing like we're both wearing like shrunken Pendletons that weren't cared for properly. And so I'm wearing like a 2X Pendleton, but it's like sucking in a can of biscuits when I put it on. I'm like, oh, this is too small. We couldn't afford a full down jacket, but we got down vests that we bought at the secondhand store because the secondhand store in Tokyo was just a bunch of stuff from the US from the 90s.
Yeah, there was like a lot of Looney Tunes. I mean, it was really like taking us back. Like Michael Jordan swag that we didn't get.
Should have.
I mean, again, we were on a budget.
We just could have ended up looking like the cast of Full House.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't afford full pants, and so I kept my shorts, but then I got some like fleecy leggings that you encouraged me to get.
Yeah, I mean that was a choice. And
then I wore my shorts over it.
Oh, because I had pants, it was like one of those travel pants that you could I think I could zip the pant portion on. So I had pants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got your leggings, and then we had matching.
You got your leggings.
You got your leggings, and then we had matching, like, his and hers, like, Mickey hats.
Yeah, mine was
Like,
Mickey. It was blue and red. Yours was Minnie. It was like pink and blue.
And they were, I thought it was pink and white. It doesn't matter. But, like, Mickey Mouse
Beanies. Stocking caps.
stocking caps.
With little palms. With a little pom-pom at the top.
Yeah.
And we were apparently very cute to the Japanese people because we would go to coffee shops or cafes and inevitably they would doodle a picture of us.
So many people, would just draw little pictures of us. And we're like, oh, there we are.
Hey, that's my receipt. And it looks like you made a caricature.
Yeah.
So this is the picture we're painting for you. These two Western people trying to hitchhike in Japan who were wearing very similar outfits. And so we're sitting there at the Starbucks. We have our box sitting on the table. And then several people come by checking out the box. They don't engage.
No.
I'm dying for the army to come up and say, hello, son. We're the Japanese army and we're here to give you a ride to Kyoto.
You don't think they would have shut it down and be like, no hitchhiking in Japan?
No way. And we knew when people didn't want to give us a ride because they would cross their arms in front of their chest. And at first we were like, are they telling us to like screw off?
I mean, it was like kind of aggressive. Like it'd be like very serious face and just throw up this huge X. And I mean, it definitely sent a clear message that they were not giving us a ride.
But we had a friend who's from Japan, and so he said it meant like no English or whatever. But
it didn't feel like that's what they were saying.
yeah,
But we got the X quite a few times.
it was kind of like, hey, we remember World War II.
Well,
Anyway, so we're waiting. We were there for like, I think you order and you come back. And by the time you come back to the table, I have made a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Some woman has approached us and is like, hey, we're not going to Kyoto, but we're going to Osaka, which is like, oh, I'm not going to Portland, Oregon. I'm going to Vancouver, Washington. It's just like, it's so close to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, is that okay? And I was like, is that okay? Ma'am, you got yourself a ride.
yeah.
And so, yeah, they had stopped on their ride because they were from Nagoya. Maybe they worked for Toyota or something.
Yeah, I remember that. The Toyota connection. But they were going to a One Direction concert.
And it blew my mind because they had turned around when they were giving us the ride and they're like, hey, do you guys know One Direction?
Do you like One Direction?
Oh.
And we were like, we do now. That's great. And so
Yeah, they gave us like a 2.5 hour ride from the outskirts of Nagoya to Osaka. But I read this. They dropped us off at a train station. And I think they probably didn't communicate it, but they were probably like, oh, we'll drop you off at the Osaka train station.
Oh, so you could just go to Kyoto.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's probably... Yeah, we didn't do that, you guys.
And
we
you-
did not do that.
Right. And I'm reading this in the journal. I'm like, wait a second. What? And I guess because we were in Osaka, you and I were like, we'll just hang out in Osaka for a couple days.
Which, there we
Which-
go.
which
So
is what
now,
happened.
so now we are up to date. We have finally arrived in Osaka, Japan.
So I have to give a shout out to, she's been our like Facebook friend. She's been our Instagram friend, Psycho. She's the one who gave us the ride with the friend.
Mm-hmm.
And we exchanged snacks because we went to Costco and we bought a bunch of like truffles.
Like chocolate truffles.
And we're like, we're going to give these out to the people who give us rides.
We are so thoughtful.
Here's my open can of truffles.
Do you want some?
You want some truffles?
I mean, reflecting, it's an interesting move, but whatever.
Yeah, we're being very friendly. But when we were in Costco, they had like Patagonia jackets, like at Costco.
Okay, the fact that we even went to a Costco in Japan and they had Tillamook cheese, which I was like so happy about. Anyway,
It was ridiculous.
Costco.
But while Psycho gave us the 2.5 hour ride, like I had written down in the journal that we had like exchanged wedding photos, like we were sharing pictures. Like Psycho showed us pictures of her kids.
Mm-hmm.
They were giving us kind of like a tour, like while they drove us to.
I remember that because they said something about like the samurai or like something with like the mountains.
Yeah,
Remember
we were
that?
going through like some mountains, and they were like, "Oh, there's like a bunch of history about ninjas."
Oh, the
being up here."
ninjas, like Ninja Valley.
And I was so happy. I was looking around. I was like, are there ninjas out there now? Will they follow us? Do some ninjutsu? I was very excited because, again, like, I was a very nerdy boy, and so I definitely gravitated toward Japanese culture, manga, anime. I mean, I was like really consuming that. And, you know, I love Nintendo, things like that. So I just like really grabbed on to Japanese pop culture that was being churned out. And so I've always just felt a really deep connection with Japan. And to finally be there and be interacting with the people who were always like super kind, super friendly. They have like a pretty rudimentary like English language program, so they can understand us, but it's definitely like, you know, we had like a base level Spanish, but if like someone came
Right.
up coming in hot speaking Spanish at us, I'd be like, oh, like I know that I can kind of engage, but I'm so uncomfortable. And I'm sure it was probably similar to that.
It's probably true.
Yeah, and then to be in Osaka, this place that we didn't want to go to. Like when we went to Japan, like my hot ticket items were like, I want to see Tokyo and I want to see Kyoto. Like just those two, shut off the rest of the world. I don't care.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. It's just like, oh, what are we're going to like make the most of like the biggest attractions, I guess, in a
It
short
was like,
amount of time.
why was Kyoto on your list?
Well, it's the old capital. And so a lot of history is in Kyoto. And it's where Nintendo is based out of.
Ah, okay. Now the truth comes out.
No, but it is because like the history and its
Yeah.
significance. And you know, once we were there, it was like, oh, it wouldn't be good to go, but it'd be very interesting to see like Hiroshima and the World Peace Park. That was something that we wanted to do, but that was like further west, and we were like let's hang around the Osaka Kyoto area to end this Japan trip. So when we got to Osaka, we got a hostel, but we were told it was in like a bad neighborhood.
Was it just like from somebody random?
I don't know, because we were bumming Wi-Fi off of like an info center in like the Osaka train station.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe someone was like, ooh, not that neighborhood.
Well, probably because we were standing at the train station, getting Wi-Fi, booking a room, you know, and then we were going because that's how we roll. It's like day of. So I kind of remember, I mean, I don't think that it felt unsafe. Was it kind of by a bridge? It was like,
It's hard to remember, like pulling out specifically that. But when we're in Kyoto, we were definitely by a bridge.
no, well, we're not talking about Kyoto.
Poor Kyoto. Yeah, I just remember it was kind of like, I remember being like dark. Like it wasn't like a well-lit area.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, I think it was fine. I never felt unsafe in Japan. And
No.
And seeing I didn't have that crazy Japanese knowledge. Like I too had played Nintendo.
Well, I mean, I wasn't coming in hot with like knowledge of like the feudal area or of like who the shogun was.
No, but I mean, even just like I couldn't tell you what Japanese, like I couldn't tell you the difference. Like I think you could tell the difference between like Japanese and Korean and
Well, they're
like
very
Chinese or whatever. And I was like, you know, I didn't know. And just there was a lot of little things that I didn't really understand. And I don't know that I was that curious about it before we went.
Oh, interesting.
Like I was motivated to go to Japan because I knew you really were interested in Japan, you know, and I find out someone's interested in doing something, I'm like, let's do it. There's no reason not to do it. And so it was just the motivation that I needed to go. But now that we've been there, it's like, yeah, I'd love to go back and really keep exploring because again, we had no plans on being there. So
yeah, we definitely stumbled around without any clear agenda. Like, you know, it would have been great to go to Mount Fuji or to go up in the mountains somewhere and go soak in an onsen, like an actual like thermal bath.
okay, so we make it to the hostel.
But before we go to the hostel, we're at that train station and we're hungry. And we go to this place and I don't know what it was called, but they had signs that said like Meat Rush. The other signs at the same place called it like Bib Bar. It was just like a place to eat meat, I guess.
Bib Bar.
Bib Bar. And so we had stumbled into this like train station restaurant and I feel like it was a small area and they were like visibly freaked out that we were coming in with these like enormous backpacks.
Yeah.
Because again, like I didn't realize that maybe I should do like carry-on size backpack, which I learned that lesson when we went to Europe, and so now I have a backpack that's good for carry-ons. But I had like a we're gonna go rough it in the mountains for 2 months size backpack. Like it is enormous. Because when we were at REI, I was like, babe, I gotta get the big one. I gotta check this bag every time we fly. So stupid.
It's okay. It's like live and learn. I didn't stop you.
Nope. So we had these, and then we stuffed them. We stuffed them full. We couldn't even we didn't
Yeah.
have space for like trinkets.
It was a lot. Just the tip is to travel lighter.
Yep.
Just let it go.
Thanks, Rick Steves. He taught me that. So we had these enormous backpacks. They put us in like a back corner of Meat Rush / Bib Bar. And then they put like a big red blanket over our bags in the corner. I don't know if it's like keep them safe so like no one gets into them. I was like, what are you doing?
Maybe just because it was an eyesore. I was like, oh, we're going to put the blanket on this.
The feng shui is off.
Mm-hmm.
So then we went to the hostel. And then when we got to the hostel, we decided that we wanted to go to like pretty much like the epicenter, like the heart of Osaka's downtown, which was the...
It was the Times Square of Osaka, I feel.
Well, but I think maybe like a little less than Times Square, but that's not an inaccurate
A little less? I feel like a
comparison.
lot less than Times Square.
Well,
but like,
right. But it was called Dotonbori, which I'm probably butchering that. But historically in Osaka, it was their theater district. And apparently throughout like the late 1800s, early 1900s, like the theater had kind of moved out of that district. And so by the time World War II came around, there was like 5 theaters in Dotonbori, but they were like completely barren. Like nothing was going on there. And eventually they were firebombed and destroyed.
Ah.
And so I don't know if they rebuilt part of this, but it's so interesting to be in any place except America and being like, oh, we're just looking at a place that's kind of existing in a post-World War II area. And that's especially true for most of Europe.
Yeah.
Definitely Japan, probably just a lot of Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a weird thing about being in Japan, just like how much that country and that culture like had to shift post-World War II.
Yeah.
And Dotonbori was interesting because, yeah, a lot of this kind of popped up during World War II, a little bit after when Japan was like moving toward westernization. And so one of the highlights of Dotonbori is the Glico Running Man. And
it's glorious.
And he was installed in 1935 by the Glico Candy Company. It's like Glico Confections or something. But I was looking at what they make, and Glico is like who makes Pocky.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever had Pocky, but there was an outdoor school counselor once who won his Pocky, and I've seen Pocky like when I worked at Cost Plus World Market.
Yeah, they're like little sticks, right?
Yeah, definitely like little snacky sticks. Sweet sticks?
Sure.
But apparently recently, Glico purchased a company that we know and that we would purchase some of their items sometimes, like Cho chocolates, like those square chocolates from like Berkeley.
Uh-huh.
So,
well, there we go.
Glico's got them now.
Well, good. I was going to say we should have had some Glico stuff when we were there.
So, Glico Running Man, it is like before 2014, it was all neon. He was this enormous neon billboard of like a runner like crossing the finish line. His arms are up. He's really excited. He's like in motion, really happy. But so we saw this like months after the new one is installed. The new one's all LED.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're able to project, he's running through Mount Fuji. He's running through the fields of Japan. He's in downtown Osaka. And so they're just like able to make it more dynamic in that way. But I saw pictures of like the neon Glico Running Man, and it looked so cool.
Aww.
So that was a really bummer. I wanted to see the neon Glico Running Man.
I feel like when we saw it, it reminded me of like a classic Nintendo video game. Just I'm trying to think of like
Paperboy? That's not like a...
No, like one of those sporting ones, or like maybe when you win and you go stand on the podium. Like I'm thinking of like the dirt bike one, or...
It's called Excite Bike.
I'm like, was there one like a track and field game?
Probably. Although yeah.
Anyway,
Nice.
there was something familiar going on there.
God. And this area was really busy, and so the Glico Running Man is on like the canal side, and there's this like really beautiful like peaceful canal running in the Dotonbori area. But it's like the next block over, and it was so much more chill than like the main stretch of Dotonbori
Yeah.
because it was so packed, and I don't know what was going on, but you saw something, and I'm so
Coming down the stairs.
of this like big ornate. It must have been a theater.
It must have been a theater. I think a show had getting out or something.
But yeah, you saw a man who was very, very well dressed.
And he was being escorted by a geisha, which at that point we had seen some fake geishas, which we didn't know was a thing. But I think for tourism, it was like, oh, pay us some money and we'll like dress you up as like a geisha and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, folks, this was the real deal. Yeah, it was really like just kind of learning more about geishas. And I think, it's not like
I think there's a misconception that a geisha is like a prostitute or something.
Right.
And that's not it
and
at
that's
all.
not it. And it's like, cause I was gonna say it's like an escort, but it's not like an escort.
Right.
It's
Yeah, there's I think traditionally are trained to like know how to like sing and know how to do music, and they're just able to kind of like entertain you, be a conversationalist, like accompany you.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I didn't see her because I was like so distracted by everything else, and like you caught a glimpse of her for like a quick second.
And I think that's how we differ. Like Jordan is very observant in like if we walk in something, you notice like little details that I don't see, but I'm really good at just like zeroing in on somebody. Like I can notice.
I'm good at the macro. You're good at the micro.
Yeah, we definitely are very observant in different ways. And so yeah, I could just like notice that instantly, but then I think they got into like a big fancy car and
But see, I had read somewhere that there's only like 1,000 actual geishas left in Japan. I don't really know how accurate that information is, but it's easy for me to be like, that probably wasn't a real geisha. They wouldn't be just like wandering around a fancy theater in Osaka. And then I'm like, well, yeah, I think that maybe they would be walking around a fancy theater in Osaka.
I mean, so you're right. Obviously, I guess we don't really know.
But she looked legit.
She looked very legitimate, and it was different than what we had seen
Right.
around. And and so I think it was just really just feeling like immersed in a different culture, right? Like just kind of like seeing that, and then you didn't see it because it's just like it wasn't for show.
Right.
Like it wasn't like a touristy thing. It was just
Right.
like this is just a part of life, and away they went.
So there's like a saying in the Kyoto Osaka area, because again they're like very close to one another, and the saying is like Kyotoans basically are gonna like blow all their money on fashion, and Osakans blow all their money on food.
Yeah.
And so people have said that like Osaka, I mean, depending on who you talk to, like some people say like Osaka is like the food capital of the world because a part of like the Osakan culture, like they just love different foods. They love to like perfect like what they have. They have their own kind of regional specialties. And we were in Dotonbori. We got one of those regional specialties, takoyaki, which is fried octopus balls.
Yeah.
Which really confused a couple of our friends who thought we were talking about the
Testicles.
the gonads of an octopus. So they are, they're fritters, and so they go into like a special round mold, and so they got like either diced or chunk of octopus, and they bread it, cook it up, have like a sauce they put on. And so there's apparently in Dotonbori there was like a really famous one, but I think in like early 2010s they had to move because they were on like public land or something. They're like, you got to get out of here. But we went to one, and it was really good. But the cart, because again Dotonbori is like all these different shops and restaurants.
I feel it was very like outside, like it was like kind of like food carts kind of lined the streets. And
yeah, so this one had like this giant octopus like decal on the front. And we got them. We ate them. They were good. Some guy from the Midwest showed up and was like, hey, you guys know any good bars?
yeah, we're like, don't talk to us.
And after he left, because I was like, yeah, we saw one over there. It was called Sex Machine. It was established in 1988, the same year my wife was born. Bye. And after he left, you're like, that guy was like hitting on us. Like he wanted to like hang out and like go clubbing. And I was
I don't take back what you just said. You think I said, hey, that guy was hitting on us and wanted to hang out.
It's in the journal. 'Tis in the journal.
He was hitting on us.
You used the term hitting on us, as in wanted to hang out.
I think that those are two different things. Either he wants to hang out or he's hitting on us.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
I guess hitting on, okay, let's back it up. It's possible he wanted to do both, but that is not bringing up
both?
Hitting on us and wants to hang out.
Yeah, hitting on us to hang out.
Would you hit on somebody that you want to hang out with?
No, but you could say I'm hitting on him to hang out.
I don't think this.
That old saying. Hey, I will get the journal right now, my friend.
All right, let's move on.
My wife.
All right.
My beautiful.
Are you hitting on me because you want to hang out?
I am hitting on you because I want to hang out.
Great.
So after we got done with Dotonbori, there's a lot of apparently really good ramen shops, a bunch of places that we could have gone to, but obviously,
but we didn't.
We just got our octopus balls and left. But when we left, we went to some train station because we were obviously too far away from our hostel to walk to Dotonbori, and so we went to the Namba train station. And as we walked up, we heard blasting hip hop music,
which I feel like we hadn't heard in a while.
And what did you see?
I saw some break dancers, and that really was good for my soul to be in Japan, have the hip hop blaring, break dancing. Yeah, it was good for me. So we stood there and watched them perform for a bit. And
there were some other people standing there and watching them perform. There was this a 50-year-old, he wasn't a salary man, but definitely just kind of this 50-year-old Japanese man in a leather jacket watching, but he was being overcome by the music, and he was he wasn't a part of the break dancers, but he was dancing.
I feel like he could have been. He was ready to jump in at any moment.
We were maybe he was a coach.
Maybe.
What was going on? I don't know what was happening.
But see, this was just the theme of the trip, right? I don't know what's happening, but I'm just here experiencing, and that's good.
So what about being in Osaka or in Japan, kind of surprised you? Because as you said, I kind of knew a little bit what we were getting into. Japan was a bucket list country for me. Japan and Italy, for some reason, there was the two. If at any point you're Jordan, where do you want to go outside of the United States of America? I would have said Japan, Italy.
Italy because of Super Mario?
No, because of pasta. I don't know.
Wow.
Well, and I was obsessed with the Leaning Tower of Pisa for a long time.
That's very cool.
I was this is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. I didn't care about Rome. I didn't care about Florence. I cared about Pisa and its tower.
Is it because of a Goofy movie? And so it's
perhaps
the Leaning Tower of Pisa?
Perhaps.
All right, well, now we know.
Now it's cultured. Thank you, Disney.
No.
So,
hey, Disney.
Disney.
Anyway, what surprised me? Was that the question?
Yeah, what was going on when you're in Japan?
I think, it's hard to say now, but I feel in the moment, I was surprised by the struggle that we had.
Just the cultural struggle, trying to acclimate to that.
And I think, that we didn't have a point person. We didn't have anybody that was hey, you guys, stand to the right on the escalator.
Don't stand in the door as the train station doors are closing, because someone's just going to ram into you and then growl. I'm so repressed.
Or everyone's chain smoking.
Yeah, that one was rough.
There's just certain things that we experienced that I wasn't anticipating, and that was frustrating in that moment. And I think that we experienced a lot of growth.
Yeah.
And I think that was good. And it was good for us to struggle. I think I was also very surprised, and I don't know why, but the history just kind of in your face, and just so many things that I didn't know anything about, right? It's beautiful gates that we saw.
The Torii gates.
I can think of just so many different memories of just how beautiful it was, things I wasn't anticipating. We went and saw the castles, which is oh yeah, I guess they would have their own castles, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the lack of chocolate was a surprise.
Because everything was, we would even ask people sometimes, like, oh, is this chocolate? And they'd say, yeah, it's chocolate.
Say, oh yeah, it's
And you-
definitely chocolate.
And you'd bite into it and be like, you'd get hit with this, like, savory, bitter punch. And you're like, this isn't chocolate.
This is red bean paste, we found out.
Every time.
Every time. And I feel like there is no greater disappointment than really being excited for chocolate and it being red bean paste. I mean, we never ate it being like, we're going to order red bean paste. And maybe that we would have had a different experience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But expecting chocolate and it being red bean paste is, well, you should experience it for yourself.
Try biting into a chocolate hollow Wonder Ball and having a bunch of, like, terrible candies come out, too.
With a sticker.
So you bring up the castle. So that's one of the biggest tourist attractions in Japan is the Osaka Castle, which unfortunately, like, the castle itself has been reconstructed, not reimagined, but it's been recreated because it's been destroyed several times throughout history. It was built initially in, like, around 1600, maybe it was commissioned in, like, the late 1500s. And then after it was created, there was, like, a bunch of, like, ransacking, it was kind of parts of it has been destroyed as, other feudal areas in Japan decided to, like, just whack on each other. But then eventually it was, like, firebombed in World War II because the Japanese, the imperial government thing, like, they decided to have the Osaka, like, army arsenal, like, kind of be manufacturing westernized, like, guns and ammo and explosives, like, in and around the Osaka castle. And so it was a target by the Allies to cripple Japan a little more. And so, destroyed it. And so I think after that, like, post World War II, like, they reconstructed the castle, rebuilt it. Because it's like 7 stories. Like, it's very large.
Yeah.
And it's on, like, this preserved area. I think it's like 13 or 15 acres. So it's, like, really big. The walls are still standing from the 1600s. Like, those stood, but, like, the structure of the castle was destroyed. And I think in 1997 they, like, officially completed, like, a redo of it. But it's got, like, moats and then moats within moats, and that was really interesting to see. But the walls and a lot of the foundation of the castle, like, have stood since the 1600s, but they don't use any mortar. They're, like, interlocked granite boulders. And so they're just, like, stuck together, just, like, with great engineering. And I remember, like, all of the, like, the walls and the foundation, like, they're all kind of, like, sloped, like, slanted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool. I mean, it just looked so much different than what we think of, like, as, like, Roman era, Renaissance era, medieval era, like, castles in European style. And to see the differences was really interesting.
Yeah, it was striking. And it was really busy. I mean, I think that there was a lot of other people there to admire. We saw that couple maybe having a photo shoot.
Yeah, they definitely were in, like, very traditional clothing. Like, he looked like he was a shogun, and she was in, like, I mean, we zoomed in on the picture that we took of her, and, like, her kimono was, like, so intricate, and it was, like, the threads, whatever they did with it was, like, really intricate.
Yeah. And I think there was some, like, cherry blossoms, the trees.
They were not cherry blossoms.
What were they?
The sakura come out in, I believe, April. So what we saw were plum blossoms.
The plum blossoms were beautiful.
And so that was nice because, right, like, we were, like, a month behind the cherry blossoms, which is a very, very famous thing in Japan. But the plum blossoms were, like, really beautiful too. And, like, we got them, like, just as they were opening up. So they weren't, like, super extravagant, but they smelled so good. Smelled fantastic.
Aw.
Like, I just remember, like, being so moved by the smell of the plum blossoms. But we didn't go into Osaka Castle because we'd gone into Nagoya Castle and we kind of experienced that. And I do regret not going into the castle. But I think part of it was like, well, it's been destroyed. It's not the original castle. But it still would have been interesting to see, like, it as a museum.
It's one of those things, right? You reflect and you're like, I think when we go back, we're so mature now. And we can go back and appreciate and understand. Because again, I mean, we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We were like, all right, well, let's do this thing. And here it is. And I kind of understand, but I kind of don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just know so much more about it now and can appreciate it in a different way.
And I think I've gotten a lot better at researching the places we go to when we visit. And I think something that's been really important for me is using some sort of map to like actually look and get a sense of where we're staying versus like, I mean, it just helps me orient so much better versus just like, we're here. I don't know where we are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we're by a bay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like while we were at the castle, like I remember, besides like the couple, maybe non-couple, I don't know, maybe they just got married. Who knows?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, it could have been something like that, but it could have been like a really fancy, I don't know, Japanese style magazine. I mean, I wasn't necessarily getting that vibe, but I mean, yeah, we'll never know.
But then we also saw this like older gentleman and his wife, or maybe lady friend, and he definitely had 2 cans of beer in his hand as he was walking around the castle grounds. Acai.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, baller? I don't know what's going on here. It was also like noon, like
Right.
it wasn't late in the day.
Right, and I was like, right, we definitely zeroed in on that. And we're like, oh, all right, it's a choice.
Yep.
But maybe they're just day off, gonna go hang out around the castle. Again, so what happens when you people watch?
And then after we got done at the castle, we went back and we, because we need coffee pretty frequently. And so it's difficult
To
to be
survive.
it's difficult to be in countries that don't have like a really strong coffee culture. Like maybe we probably just should have had some tea, some matcha.
I think probably reflecting, that could have been okay. Well, and I will say that there was places that we wanted to eat or drink at, but again, there was just like, I'm pretty sensitive to cigarette smoke, and so if I'm around it, I like instantly get a really bad headache. And so I was really happy when they outlawed smoking in the bars when it was like around when I turned 21. So I really only experienced smoking indoors very briefly.
Wow.
But yeah, as a kid, and I was around a friend or friends whose parents smoked, yeah, I would just feel really sick. So anyway, so that was one of the biggest challenges for me.
Because like Japan has a very strong cigarette culture.
There's like cigarette vending machines. I mean, just like, and people are working a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They are overworked and stressed, and I think there's maybe not dealing with things in like the healthiest way, and they're kind of like inner shame, and so you just kind of like, I mean, we went going to McDonald's because it's one of the places you can smoke. I mean, do you remember going up there and like there was like an upstairs and like just so many like Japanese businessmen were just like passed out, like just like sleeping?
Yeah, because they had like these little kind of like cubby places. It wasn't like dining areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, why did I just go off
We
about
needed
cigarettes?
coffee.
We needed coffee, and I think that there was cafes that we wanted to go to, but even if they had a quote-unquote smoking section and a non-smoking section, like that cigarette smoke would just infiltrate. And so I would say that is part of the reason we didn't go and experience some of the places that we would have liked to.
So obviously we were desperate for caffeine. And so we stumbled into a place that we had initially saw in Singapore because we met like the mascot of this thing, and it was Mr. Donut. And so we went into Mr. Donut because they had some coffee on the menu, and we had ordered an iced latte because it was called, quote unquote, milk with coffee. Perfect. That sounds good. That makes sense. We get a donut because we're at Mr. Donut. Our drink comes out, and it's like much lighter than I expected. Come to find out, it was just a tall glass of milk with coffee ice cubes.
Which wasn't quite what we were looking for.
No.
I guess we drank it.
Foil. Well, of course I drank it. I wasn't going to pay admission to Osaka Castle, but I was going to drink all that milk.
That's right.
Yeah, foiled again by Japan. But then we kind of got shanghaied later that day by a Kiwi. And I think in our hearts, if someone's from New Zealand, we're like, we feel like like a kindred spirit almost. Pacific Northwest, New Zealand, pretty much the same place.
I
right?
do feel like New Zealanders were like, they get a pass.
Yeah.
Like, they're always like top tier person.
We met a Kiwi, and he was like, "Hey, mate, you want to go have some Japanese barbecue with me?" That's not how
we were
they sound.
seduced by that accent.
Yeah, but he wasn't very attractive. I looked at the picture, and I was like, we could have had a more handsome Kiwi like to hang out with. Anyway, we go out for Japanese barbecue, and I don't know if it was Korean barbecue or Japanese barbecue. He took us somewhere where there's like a pit, a little grill for us to grill our meats. And I was so intimidated because I, especially at that point, did not do beef very well. Like, anytime I cooked it, I was like, I think I'm going to get sick from this. I'm going to undercook it.
Okay, the way you're presenting it makes you seem like it's like you have an issue digesting beef.
Yeah, that's not it.
Jordan was choosing to be
Nervous.
vegetarian because he was afraid to undercook meat. And so it was like, oh my God, you need salmonella.
This is before I found out that you could eat like beef tartare. Like you could have beef like pretty much raw and you're going to be fine. You know, it was chicken was the issue. And I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now we do. So yeah, he took us to this place and yeah, just like the grill, and they brought the plate of meat.
And scissors. They had scissors to like cut it.
Do you think it was like, just take whatever meat you want and then we'll charge you for what you use?
I don't know. I have no idea. It was not described to me, neither by the Kiwi nor our server.
No, but I feel like he knew what it was.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
No.
And in the end, we ended up paying for way more than...
Right, because he ate a lot. We
Mhm.
ate a little, and like we just were sharing. And he was like, "All right, so I'll pay for my third, and you do your thirds." And I was like, "Well, this isn't equal. This isn't equitable." Anyway,
and
so
then we never saw him again.
so if a New Zealander asks you to dinner, you know, question the motives.
That's right.
Maybe he just wants to eat the hell out of that meat and have you foot the bill.
Oh God.
And then the next day we went to Kyoto. We made it.
Wow.
But we ended up going back to Osaka after we were done with Kyoto because we're going to fly out from Osaka to Hong Kong. You booked a hotel.
Oh, I was so confident too.
And it was right next to the airport.
It was right next to the airport. It was,
Literally right next to the
it
airport.
was super cheap. I was like, wow, this is going to be great.
At some point we realized it was for the wrong airport.
But not before realizing that everybody else knew something about the place we were staying that we didn't know because we kept asking for directions because again, we're like on foot.
And everyone was giggling and like having a gay old time.
I mean, we had some weird interactions with people, but I mean, this was like next level. Like, yeah, they're like snickering and like kind of looking at each other, being like, what's that way? And we're like, okay, weirdos.
Yeah, I was like, we just want to know where Hotel Fine is. Thank you very much.
Come to find out, yours truly booked a love hotel. So people, maybe you could probably rent it by the hour.
You could 100% rent it by the hour because that was on the menu.
But we wanted that full night.
When you did book it full night, and
it was
the cheapest place we stayed, and that includes Thailand. Like, it was the cheapest place we stayed at.
and I'm going to argue it was the best place we've ever stayed at.
It was maybe one of the best places we've ever stayed at.
Yes, it was so good. So we walk in.
Music is blasting.
It is so loud. No one is there. We're like, hello.
Yeah, nobody in the lobby. Empty.
Try to find. I think eventually we get somebody to come out from the back to like give us the keys to our room.
And so we get into our room, and the walls are so thick.
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear any of that loud music from out in the lobby.
No, none. Because right, it's still blasting like in the hall. Like it is loud.
But we get in, and it's like the corniest smooth jazz is playing in the room.
But you remember there was like a door and a door?
Yeah.
So thick walls, multiple doors. Maybe there's like little steps to go up. I'm not sure. But, you know, we got like a nice little living room, this huge bathroom with this huge jetted tub. There's a huge bed with
There's,
like projector screen.
Mood lighting. It's very like Grecian. Like there's like vases, like decorative vases for some reason.
Yeah, we got like a vending machine, and I just feel like it's a really nice room. But then we're noticing some things that are a little different.
You know, we look at the headboard, and installed in the headboard, there's like a control panel in the headboard to like control lights, projector, music. And then right next to it, I was like, is that a vibrator?
Sure was a vibrator.
It was a vibrator with like it to let you know it was clean. There was like a little plastic sleeve over it, and like it was a corded phone, like it was plugged into like a hole in the headboard.
In my mind, it is like kind of the color of like a hotel phone too. Like,
Yeah, it was
it's
definitely
just
kind of beige.
Yeah. So
It wasn't a great looking vibrator, you guys.
the totally. Yeah, it was not top tier.
And then we go look over at like the vending machine, and there's like sodas, and everything's like reasonably priced. It was like 180 yen for like a Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And then above that,
Yeah, there's some lingerie in the vending machine that you could buy. And
not just some, there was like 15 options.
right. And then
Maybe a pachinko machine for like little slots you could do.
yeah, I feel like there was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
In the bathroom, I mean, there was so many, like, there was a ton of, like, beauty. I mean, this is whatever, but, like, skincare, lotions.
We took
Was
like
there makeup? There was, like, robes and slippers and, I mean, like, just, like, a ton of stuff.
There's like masks. I remember we like loaded up the masks and like used them in Thailand.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, was there, like, brushes or, like, perfume? There was, like, just a ton of stuff. And then there was, like, TV screen in the tub.
Yeah, there's a built-in TV like in the wall next to the tub. And
But
eventually that night, when we were taking the tubbed bath, because again, it's a massive tub, massive jetted tub,
Mm-hmm.
we turned the TV on.
And it is playing partially censored porn.
But that's the only option. You
That was
could
it.
not watch anything else on that little TV. And it was like, babe, I can't change the channel. It's the only option. And it's not that very well censored. But censored
But
was so...
was it? Now I'm trying to remember. Was it like people, or was it like?
It was people.
Or is it animated?
It was not. Well, I didn't watch animated stuff unless you went in later. You're like, hey,
God,
what's on now?
Yeah, I don't remember because I don't think we really like watched it.
Oh, it was people, babe.
All right,
It
well,
was people.
It was people. Now you heard it here.
But the bed was massive. And again, like all the different mood lighting options, like it was super cool.
Oh, it was great. And okay, and then on top of this, it also came with a free breakfast that was delivered to the room. And so, and
In
it
a
was
special cubby.
so it was like they would put the food, like they would like open the door, put the food in, and then they'd close the door, and then we would open the door. Like it was like you wouldn't see anybody.
And they rang like a special bell went off in the room when it was ready.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane.
Oh man, we could rent.
We could rent all sorts of game systems. And so in that time, only the Wii U was the newest Nintendo. But we weren't able to rent a Wii U. We rented a Wii. And so I think we had to go, did we have to go down and pick it up or did they bring it to us?
I think they brought it to us.
So they brought us a Wii, a couple controllers, and new Super Mario Brothers. And so we grabbed all this, hooked it up to the projector screen, and then you and I just like in the Love Hotel jammed out to some Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, we had a great time.
And then there was karaoke built into the projector screen also, because there was like a pair of mics that were again like hooked up to the room, and so we karaoke'd for a little bit. We just freaking partied in there.
Oh, we partied. I think we got Domino's delivered.
Which we found out Domino's in Japan does free delivery. I don't know if that's how it happens here. Free delivery, and then if you try to tip your driver, they like very adamant like do not tip me, and then they run away. And so it was like, oh man. But we went down in our robes to pick up the pizza. It was a fantastic night. But before we ended up partying, we were like, oh, we're hungry. The only option is the airport.
That we were, again, literally right next to.
Yeah. So we went to the airport and we got some food. We got some sushi, and then we got airport sushi, which again, I think the only appropriate time to get airport sushi is when you're in Japan.
Yeah,
It's not like the SNL sketch about airport sushi. And then we also had okonomiyaki, which is it was probably one of the most famous foods in Osaka. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading what all goes down in okonomiyaki because we were very confused about what this was.
And we had to watch somebody else eat it to know what to do.
So okonomiyaki it's like a compound word in Japan. Okonomi is a word that either means what you like or how you like it. And then yaki just means grilled. And so people could describe it as like a Japanese pancake, but it's not because Japan was going through a pancake craze when we were there.
There were pancakes everywhere. We just called them Japan cakes because it wasn't like pancakes you'd get here.
No, they elevated the game.
Oh, they were like, I feel like in my normal everyday life, pancakes aren't my number one, but every pancake we had was just
Everyone was a banger.
it was so good.
We had breakfast dessert pancakes. We had dessert pancakes. We had like specialty savory dishes where pancakes were the star, the hero of the dish.
I feel like flavor, presentation, the whole thing was
Oh.
just so good. Great job, Japan.
So okonomiyaki is very different. It is a Japanese pancake. Some people also say it's like Osakan soul food.
Yeah.
And it's very good. But the base is wheat. And then they have like a type of yam in there. And then cabbage, like shredded cabbage, egg, pork usually is a star.
And
And then they grill it. And then you top it with some green onion, some seaweed flakes, Japanese mayonnaise, pickled ginger, bonito flakes, which is like,
wasn't it fish flakes?
yeah, but it's like it's a specific type. It's like fermented, smoked skipjack tuna is what I had read. So it's like a fish flake that you throw on top. And then okonomiyaki sauce, which is made with like Worcestershire. And it was I guess the story was it was created in the 30s. There was like an earthquake had happened in Japan. There was like a food shortage, and so they just kind of like threw some stuff together and like, here it is. What you like, how you like it, and it's grilled. And we ate so much okonomiyaki. We mostly ate it in Kyoto because we went to, and I'd love to talk about this.
I'd love to talk about it too, but we're going to have to wait to talk about that.
But we had some okonomiyaki in the airport, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as that place in Kyoto.
No.
But you just need to know that it is an Osakan staple, and it's so good, and I miss it. I'd
Okay.
like to go find some.
Wait, sidebar. Meh.
Meh.
Was the guy in Kyoto, was he from Osaka?
I think so.
Maybe that's what the... Okay.
He was also quarter Italian, which I was like, wow, I love this story.
Man, Jordan's fave. Japanese and Italian.
Yeah, you're lucky you're married.
It's true.
So we...
You're lucky. You're lucky you're married.
I am lucky to be married with you. Also, complete sidebar. This episode is premiering on our 10-year kiss-iversary.
Aww.
A decade ago, you kissed me on the mouth.
That's right.
Aww,
Never look back.
These episodes really landed on all sorts of good
Landmarks.
landmarks. A decade.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe it's been 10 years. That's crazy.
And the kisses have only gotten better.
I agree, but also my facial hair's gotten better, so I mean that probably doesn't help.
Mm-hmm. Oral hygiene, the whole thing. Everything's better.
Thank you so much. So, I'd love to talk more about that. But we go back to Osaka. Go back to the Love Hotel. And yeah, it was just like, it was so pleasant. Had our breakfast. And I feel like the breakfast was pretty legit.
Yeah.
But then the next morning, we had to go to an airport that was an hour away.
Okay, but I feel like at this point, like, I don't know where it is because I don't think we immediately realized that we are by the wrong airport.
Yeah.
I don't think we realized it that night. Or maybe when we...
I think we're looking at our ticket and we're like, this name doesn't match that name.
Because I swear it was the next morning because in true Katie and Jordan fashion, we're chill. Everything's going fine. And then we like look at the ticket and it's like, wait a minute, that's not right. And then we proceed to run.
Yeah, because I think our life is like chill, absolute hysteria, mania. It's like, oh no. Oh wait, a lift is going to be $100 to get from Midtown Manhattan to Newark? No, we're running.
That's
now.
right.
And the clock starts now. So yeah, we ran to catch a shuttle from the wrong airport to the right airport. So we're running with our huge bags. We piece out of the Love Hotel. People are probably like, why are they running out of a Love Hotel?
With their massive bags. Oh, yeah. I mean, again, Japan's chill. It's quiet. And then we are... I don't know. It was like we were on The Amazing Race.
And we said that, like, as we were running, we're like, we'll just tell people, don't worry, we're on The Amazing Race. Because I think we have to run and catch, like, the proper shuttle. And I remember it, like, you know, in true Katie and Jordan fashion, I think it's getting ready to leave.
Oh, yeah. No, it was like, it was...
Wait for me!
It was like, we catch it now or we miss our flight. Like, It was... There was no wiggle room. And I think it was pretty classic.
Perfect.
But happy ending. We make it.
Happy ending, because we were at the Love Hotel. So yeah, we take a shuttle for like an hour to the Kansai airport. And so it's like south, it's like a man-made island. And so and I didn't realize this. So all of a sudden the shuttle is like on this bridge and we're just like going out to this man-made island. That's the airport. And the airport was like absolutely quiet. The line was enormous to go through security. And we're not moving at all. And then, again, I need you to know that Japan is a very serene place because everyone wants to save face. They don't want to, like, stand out in that way.
It's quiet. Like, the trains are quiet. It's respectful, I think, too.
Right.
There's something there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we are standing there. It's silent. And then all of a sudden, there is, like, screaming.
They're yelling. And then, like, I kind of feel like police officers are, like, running.
Yeah, like there was like some action and then we're all just like silently staring.
Yeah, it was very awkward.
I don't know, but then you and I are just like, are we going to make our flight? I don't know.
Yeah. And then we finally go through and they're like questioning like 3 people. I don't know what's going on. We never heard.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, we got through with like not very much wiggle room, but we got through. And at this point, I don't think we realized that you could take a beverage on a flight that you got after security.
You know, our brains were not.
The Love Hotel really scrambled us.
We were not thinking clearly. So in our minds, it was like, we have to have a coffee, obviously. So we get a drink but we don't have time to drink it before we get on the plane. So then we
like stuff it like in a coat. And so we like go through.
Like, I think I was just like, no one's taking my coffee. I don't know. I just think that I was having an issue. It was like, we can't like risk it.
And then we didn't choose our seats. And so they put us like at the very front of the plane in like this exit row where there's nothing in front of us.
No, except for the flight attendant.
There was a seat for the flight attendant who would sit right across from us. She sat facing us. And so we're sitting there like, damn it. What are the odds? They were great seats.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, every time the stewardess would, like, turn her head, like, you'd, like, poke the straw out and be like, hey, you want some of this? So I'd bend over and suck up some frap really quick.
Oh, my God.
We're sitting next to this kid from India who'd, like, joined the army or something, and he hadn't been home in 8 months.
Yeah, he was, like, 20, and he told us his dream was to have a mansion and a pool.
Not good for you, man. Hopefully he did it.
Yeah, which is great. It just wasn't our dream. And
because our dream was to drink our coffee guilt-free, and we weren't able to do it.
No. But I think we drank it in the end, and then they were like, hey, you guys want some...
Did they give us, like...
cocktails?
Yeah, international flights, man. You want a cocktail? I'll give you anything you want.
Oh, my gosh.
Like,
well, I just want another frap to drink guilt-free, please.
Speaking of frap, that sounds real good right now. Maybe I'll go make one.
Oh, maybe.
Hey, any other closing notes? Any other memories about Osaka you'd like to share?
Closing statements. I would love to have some okonomiyaki. Okonomiyaki.
Almost.
You know who has a hard time with Japanese?
Katie. What languages do you not have difficulty with?
No?
You do Spanish pretty okay. I think at the end of our Europe trip, all the languages had scrambled, because I remember when we were in France at the end, and even in like Italy in the end, you were just like, all the words were just like falling out.
Yeah, I'm all about the remix.
You are about the remix, which screws me up, because then I want to do the remix, and I'm like, no donks! And you're like, what?
Well, I get it.
Yeah, so we just have our own language. What do you want to do next time we go to Osaka?
Dress appropriately.
I think that would be helpful.
What do you want to do differently?
I think I'd want to go to the castle. Apparently there's a special type of theater that's unique to Osaka, or like it's the epicenters in Osaka, but it's a type of like puppetry. And I think just doing more cultural things in Osaka, I think going in with more of a game plan would work for me to be prepared to like really get the most out of a situation, as opposed to just like bumping around and going to like Japanese barbecue with a kiwi.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for the next time we go.
I think the next time we go to Japan is going to be a real good time.
We're going to be at Hotel Fine so often. Or maybe we should maybe that should be it. We should just check out different love hotels.
I mean, I could see why people get kind of oogie about love hotels.
I mean, if you really think about it, but I'm like, just don't think about it.
Yeah. I just have one big communal bed.
We had a great time. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
But maybe just keep it as a happy memory.
So is there anything else that like surprised you about Osaka?
Well, I think the fact that we were in Osaka was surprising.
I'm surprised Osaka had 2 airports.
That was surprising.
Yep.
Glico Man.
I
And the fact that we ate octopus was
Oh, we'd already eaten octopus.
yeah.
But willingly eaten octopus.
Right. I mean, I feel like the other one we didn't have a choice.
Yeah, but takoyaki, it's a regional famous dish.
Yeah.
It's good. Well.
My bladder is full, and so it's hard for me to focus on this question.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I had a great time.
Great.
I would love to go back and rock on.
Perfect. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode, hearing about our shenanigans in Osaka. Hopefully it is inspiring you to check out a love hotel,
Hopefully.
play some smooth jazz. We are going to be taking a couple weeks off. We'll say it's like a mid-season break. But when we come back, we're going to be
22 episodes. There's a mid-season break.
Yeah, this is episode 23, thank you.
Oh.
But when we come back, we're going to be so much stronger,
Wiser.
healthier, brighter.
Okay, hopefully not COVID lingering.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have long COVID.
Yeah, that would be ideal to not have that.
But man, what an empathy builder.
Totally.
So
if you too are struggling with like breathing, thinking, living, we got it.
We're here for you.
And we're sending out love.
Well, the next time we get on a plane, I hope it's at the correct airport. We don't have to like run around from airport to airport.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, we could count. I'd probably count on one hand how many trips we haven't like had to book it, or there hasn't been some chaotic moment like that.
Yeah, builds character.
Maybe we just like to run.
Maybe you don't like to run.
I don't, but in the heat of the moment, if we're gonna like miss a flight or a train, or
you're saving it for that moment.
My energy, I save it all year so I can run when it counts.
Well, Katie, I would like to say happy 10-year anniversary, kissiversary.
Happy 10-year kissiversary.
Man.
3, 2, 1.
Quick, what does okonomiyaki stand for?
Fish flakes.
What, fish flakes?
For your food, when you like it, how you like it. Food.